Hello, my soul brothers and soul sisters. I am Ron Smith, and this is the Ron Smith Investigate Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we're able to turn your water into wine. Today, we're going to talk about your hiring a financial advisor. But before we get there, we can talk about all the stuff that we should be talking about in our household or one-on-one or with our family or with our children. That is what we're going to talk about, how we spend our money. One of the things before we get started, there are three types of people. There are people who make things happen. There are people who watch things happen. And then there's other people who wonder what happened. Do not let that happen with your money. I know I've been emphasizing that you should have a plan. That's number one thing. You should have a plan. Most people have to have a vision to actually have something to believe in. But what you see is what you believe. If you don't see financial prosperity happening around you, then you start believing it won't happen for you. So you have to be around people who are talking about things that will add to your life instead of things that will subtract for your life. In this belief process is that you're going to have to believe in the best and the worst of time, because you're going to hear about the stock market go up and down and almost weekly, where the Dow Jones is up this time, the Dow Jones is down, that the economy is in the flux. You're going to have talking about stagnation, inflation. You're going to have all these things bombarding you from television to social media to the newspapers, et cetera, et cetera. But does that really affect your personal economy? You are the person responsible for your personal economy, even if you don't take responsibility for it. So one of the things that I feel that I'm grounded is because, I believe I'm a very spiritual person, but I know God is going to take care of me. And I know all those things. But he also said that we perish because of lack of knowledge. So when people drop knowledge or knowledge is available, sometimes you have to seek out that knowledge because it's not going to come to you. So what we're going to talk about, some of the things that separate the wealthy people from the poor people. One of the things that I know for sure is that I was not really educated into three of the things that I'm going to say right now, which is earn, save, and invest. I was told that basically to get a good education, to get a good job, raise a family, be responsible for all those things. But all those things can lead you into debt if you don't understand how you need to save and invest. And one of the things that I talked to a group of men this past weekend, and I told each man to give yourself a high five. So the high five is that you need to, one, earn and create income. Number two, you need to learn how to manage that income. Number three, you need to have the proper leverage of that income. Number four, you need to learn how to protect that income. And number five, you need to build a legacy. So earn or create income, which means basically you're going to have a constant flow of income, cash flow in, and you have to learn how the cash flow to make sure that it don't always goes out. So basically to earn, of course, you need to have a job, or you create your income by being an entrepreneur or business or investment. Managing is make sure you understand that your assets and your liabilities and your expense and income statement. And how do you manage that? You need to have a detailed list of your expenses. And basically I use the guidelines of the 40-30-20 budget rule, which means 40% of the things that you need, 30% of some of the things you want, 20% are saving and investing, And for me, my 10% is I tied to my church, my house of worship. But for you, it could be your donation or to your favorite charity. One of the things that I have learned is that 30% of my wants, I have tried to trim that, because basically, eating out, going to movies, going to concerts, et cetera, those are things that you can actually control. Those are things that you want. Those are not really what I call vital to life things, like your mortgage, groceries, clothing, et cetera, insurance, those type of things. So basically, that's the management aspect of it. Leverage, and if you heard this before, and I've said I'm going to repeat some of the things, because I know faith coming by hearing, and hearing by the word of God. But more time I say this, the more time it's going to stick with you. Leverage is basically, I know for sure that I cannot purchase my house with cash. I could not purchase the car with cash. If you are able and you can do those things, hey, more power to you. Great. I grew up in a household where we didn't talk about money. I grew up in a household where I wasn't an authorized user on a credit card, so I had accumulated a credit history that was over 750 to 850. If you are one of those very, very, I wouldn't call lucky, blessed people who came into the household, who had understanding of finance, who were able to, and let me just digress a little bit on that, is that, matter of fact, I was talking to a couple today that did that for them, their children. They set aside a credit card that, and they even put their name on, their children's name on a lease. So when they were 10 years old, so by the time they graduated from high school, they had 8 years of good credit scores. So basically, they could walk into any car dealership, can rent any apartment, or they could have bought a home, because they had minimum 650 score to 750 and close to 850, which is the top of your credit score. And that's what we call leverage. You have to have a pristine credit history in order to have 0 to 4% interest charged on you. And right now, the interest rate nationally for buying a home is 6%. And my point is that if you don't have a background and have the privilege of living in a home that talked about these things, and knowing that basically that you curtail your usage. And they were also, this couple telling me that their daughter is getting ready to go to the university, and that basically they told them, cut up all the credit cards that's going to be mailed to you, because every college freshman will be getting a credit card in their name in the mail by September, no later than September. No one told me that basically I should only use 30% of utilized on that credit card. So if I had $1,000 credit card limit, I should only use $300 of that $1,000, and I should pay it off before the next cycle. Those are the things that basically the platform of this whole podcast is to do the basics. So basically, that's part of the leverage. Now, protection. We always know that we all need health insurance, and we know we need car insurance. We know we need renters insurance, and we know we need homeowners insurance. But what about if you are no longer be able to create or earn the income that you currently have? One of my favorite commercials is the Aflac Duck, which means it's also a supplemental to income. Those are the things that you also, how you protect your income, some of the things that you need to start paying more attention to, a part of your portfolio. And lastly, we're going to talk about legacy. And basically, legacy is that what are you planning to leave your inheritance to your children and your children's children? And basically, at minimal, you should have a life insurance policy that will, just in case you're not around, that's 10 times the amount of money that you're bringing in right now. And that basically will satisfy any debts that will be occur if you're no longer here, and your family will be able to maintain the same quality of life that you are providing for them now. That's minimal. And of course, if you leave your home, and hopefully you can create a business for your family, that could be a legacy, or you can have some real estate as a legacy. Those are the minimal things that I think every head of household should be able to have for their family. That's minimal. So make sure, I could put all this in a nutshell, is that basically you earn more than you spend, and then you save. That's the minimum. But earn, save, invest. So when we come back from this commercial break, we're going to talk about the mistakes that most people have when they look for a financial advisor, and some of the things that you should have when you go ready to talk to one. See you in a
Cammie's Closet, Cammie's Closet, Cammie's Closet, an upscale resale clothing, vintage clothing, handbag, and shoes online store. Cammie's Closet, spelled with a K, not with a T, is a small upscale resale boutique that carry gently used name brand clothing, vintage clothing, shoes, and handbags. Cammie's Closet is all about rediscovering, upcycling, and selling clothes of all kinds. Cammie's Closet.
Welcome back to the Dr. Ron Smith Investigating Show, where we separate the real from fake, the fact from fiction, and give you the winner's edge. And sometimes we're able to turn your water into wine. Today's show is episode 14. We continue talking about stuff that I wish I had been privy to the conversation. If I've been a fly on the wall to one of these multi-millionaire billionaires, I will learn some of the things that we're talking about today. We just wrapped up with basically the 5 things: earning or creating wealth. You need a continuous income cash flow coming in. You need to know how to manage that cash flow. Make sure that the flow doesn't stop with you. That is always going out to the mortgage company, to the finance company, to the power company, to the creditors, without stopping with you. And one of the things I learned from the book, The Richest Man in Babylon, is paying yourself first. One thing I want to mention with that is that you should treat your savings and investing as a bill, just as much as your mortgage. If you do that, you change your mindset into how you actually approach your financial planning. And then basically that's part of managing, making sure you have a budget, which knowing your assets from your liabilities and basically your income from your expenses. And make sure if you can do your a monthly expenses, then you do your weekly expenses, you will see that there's some areas that you can save some money in. I'm not one of those guys to tell you that you need to stop going to Starbucks, or you need to stop having lunch, or you need to stop going to movies. But I am the guy who said that you need to make sure that when you write out your budget plan, your 40, which is your needs, 30 is your wants, 20 is your savings and investing, and your 10 is your tithing, donation, or charity. That your wants section, that 30%, can go either way. If you minimize some of the travel, if you minimize some of the lunches that you go out, and you minimize, some of the frivolous things that you spend your money on, and put it over into either the 20 or overlap some of your 40%, you will feel better about yourself in the end. And your outflow will determine your level of happiness. So learning how to use leverage, knowing what your credit score is, first of all, then make sure you know how to improve those scores. And maybe I will touch on that next week. Learning how to protect it, just like your life insurance and your home insurance, you have to protect your income also, and building a legacy. Now, one of the things I want to talk about first is the mistakes people have when they, before or after they trying to get in a financial advisor. First of all, they normally hire somebody who's not a fiduciary. And a fiduciary is a person who ethically is responsible for making sure that they have your best interest in heart. And one of the things that you need to be sure is that there's a difference between a salesperson and a person who is a qualified financial advisor. Being first time, if you need to talk to a person like me who have been around a little bit, so you won't be overwhelmed when you go meet a financial advisor. Just because this person is an expert in their field, and if he cannot break things down that you can understand it, it's almost like talking to a doctor who has very poor bedside manner. I don't care how good the surgeon is, if he cannot break those medical terms down, you probably need to get a second opinion. Because first of all, you need to be comfortable with what's the transaction, that especially with a surgery, and having your money is just as important as your financial health is just as important as your mental or your physical health. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back. All right, we are back. I'm Ron Smith, and this is Dr. Ron Smith's show. We're talking about hiring a financial advisor. Number one, you need to hire someone who's a fiduciary, which means that basically somebody who's actually qualified, that is going to have your best interests at heart. The second is don't hire the first person that you meet. That's almost like marrying the first person that you are really attracted to. I know. Your eyebrows just raised, and you have that little smile on your face, and you might be sitting beside somebody. Just look straight ahead at me and don't look to your left or to your right, because I know you want to comment, but you can't. But it's just like dating. I mean, you have to find someone who's compatible, who has the same likes and likes and attainment that you have. And you have to have something in common. And that's one of the things that person has to be. You have to feel comfortable with that person. If the person is using terminology that's over your head and trying to impress you, then you might either start asking them some questions about what that means. And don't be afraid that your lack of knowledge. I know, being a macho man like me, and that's the reason why I do my homework before I come and talk to people like that, because I want to be aware of some of the terminologies and the statements and things that they use, because you can be in deep water and you're just treading, but you don't want to say, hey, help, I don't really understand what you're saying. By talking to more than one advisors, if there should be some synergy into the concept of what they're saying. But first of all, you need to have a plan to understand where you want to go. If you are beginning in your financial journey, it's different from a person who's a business owner, who's different from a person who's getting ready to retire. So you have to understand where you are in your journey and where you want to, what your destination should be. I've talked to a young lady who said she's retiring, and she's will be 45 next year, and she's ready to retire, and she had made the plans in order to have those things in place. And my question to her was, when she started, she said, well, I started 20 years ago, that I knew at this age and this time what I wanted to do. And I wanted to give her a high five, because that's the time that time and compound interest work better for you the younger you are. The beginning when you first start. So choosing the wrong advisor who give you wrong advice is a next thing. And basically incompatible strategies. And that goes into where you are in life. When you're young, you can go with the aggressive, stocks options or aggressive business ideas and concept. It's almost like, if you're younger, you can go to the crypto currencies and the Bitcoins and all this other things that's coming out. If you're in the middle or you're getting ready to retire, those are things that you might want to slow down or question those things, because those things are very speculative. And especially now, we're getting after about a 10-year period, we're seeing the results of the cryptocurrencies and the Bitcoins, and they're not as stable as people thought they were 5 years ago. The different market calls for different things. Right now, they say that we are in a bull market, but so basically stocks are high. So if the market turns down, then in a bear market, then the bonds would be things that you need to consider. So those are the things that you need to know, the fundamentals that you need to know in the beginning before you talk to a financial advisor. But one thing I know for sure, whether the market is up or down, if the guy is good, he'll make you money. But you have to be able to ride out some things. So there's risk in all investments. And if your financial advisors do not advise you of that from the top, and he always selling you sunshines and rainbows, that might be a red flag. Next thing is ask him, this person, what credentials do they have? Now, they're going to say something like Series 7, Series 66, and Series 65. Now, what does that mean? I'm glad you asked. All that means is that this person has passed these financial insurance exams, where he could sell stocks, bonds, and other investment financial securities. That's all that's saying. But my point is, if he don't mention those things, then you might want to start looking and interviewing someone else, because you want somebody who's credible and you want somebody who's knowledgeable. And if they don't have those Series 7, Series 66, and Series 65 is what you want to look for. Now, the last thing is, you are interviewing this person that you're going to hire. So you are in control of this interview. Don't leave this to this person to say, well, at the end of the day, you're still responsible for your money. And basically, this is the question that normally, for me, I ask this question up front, but you want to be a little nice, and you would, gradually get to this, how do you make money? That's what you want to ask this financial advisor, because one of the things is you want to look for, if it's fees only, is it a flat rate, or is it a percentage of the assets under advisory? So basically, you want to vet this individual, so basically you are in control. So basically, three things as for financial advisor. You need to decide where you are. Are you in the beginning of your career, in the middle, or are you getting ready to retire? Because that would dictate in the long run where you want to put your money. What's what services does this financial advisor have? Is it investment planning? Is it debt payoff? Is it budgeting? Is it tax planning? Is it estate planning? Is it college planning? All those things is a part of things that you should have in mind when you meet this financial advisor. And last but not least, interview multiple financial planner. Don't marry the first date is what I'm actually saying. So until we meet again next week, thank you for your time. My time is up, and I thank you for yours.